What is going on? You are listening to Tags Podcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast, celebrating 6 years of podcasting. This is episode 525. I am your host, Steve V, alongside birthday boy extraordinaire, Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I sense a little bit of tiredness in that voice. We'll talk more in a second. Of course, joining us to round out our beautiful equation we've got for you tonight, or today when you listen to this, is Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. Darling, I am exhausted as well, darling.
I think we're all a little exhausted because Jeremy was here in New York City to celebrate his birthday. He brought along some friends from Massachusetts along the way. We had friends from out of the woodworks. It was such a beautiful, fun, celebratory weekend to celebrate you, Jeremy. But you tell us, how was your weekend here in New York City?
It was incredible, long, and a lot of fun. And I mean, we couldn't have packed anything more into the 3 full days and 1 night that I was there.
Well, we threw a very fun birthday party here at my place that had all of your friends, a lot of our mutual friends. Kodi, of course, was there. It was kind of really amazing, too, because at one point we actually had all of the, minus Teddy, who lives in Los Angeles, but we had all of the hosts here at the party, including Lincoln and Kodi and Jeremy and myself. Although, were you in the same room at the same time, Kodi?
Me and Lincoln met outside when we crossed paths going from and coming to the elevator.
Yeah, I think they were in passing.
Yes,
that's right. Yes. Because Lincoln, as you can imagine, had another party to go to and was
she's popular, honey.
She was popular, right? But looked like $1 million. Everybody actually looked so good. I thought, really, everybody stepped it up. We danced, we talked, we laughed, we ate, we drank, and then we carried the party over to a bar industry where the music continued, a little bit more libations and talking and fun and dancing, just so much fun. Jeremy, you are known, though, for getting up really early, and this weekend was no different. You you get up really early and you go until you can't go anymore, and then you have to nap. And it's
totally,
if you know Jeremy, he needs a nap in the middle of the day. See, I just sleep in, so then that way I don't need a nap. Yeah. But I love how you roll. And one of the things, I was just scrolling through your Instagram at J Ross Lopez, and you caught a lot of the Christmas spirit that is New York City with the lights and the window displays. How fun was that for you?
That was an amazing experience, and I loved the windows this year. They were just so like beautiful and shiny, and the crowds were crazy, but you should definitely plan to see the windows at night. So what we did is we planned for exactly 4:30 when we knew that it was dusk to arrive at the Plaza Hotel and then walk down to Rockefeller.
Fabulous. I mean, that is so spot on, and how you have to do it, because a lot of people have been saying, including the news, that in many ways tourists are back this particular year for Christmas, thank goodness. But if you're trying to get to Rockefeller Center, good luck getting close to the tree. But there is strategy, and I think you nailed it right by get there at dusk, and we all know dusk sadly is at 4:30 these days, so plan ahead. But happy to see that New York's back in full swing with the Christmas spirit, and there's no other city I feel, maybe Paris, London, of course, do it fabulous. I'm sure Boston and people are going to come for me for their cities, but New York, New York is iconic in many ways. And we're going to be talking about some most popular cities and awards that just came out in a little bit. But let's get into some hot topics, including, I just got, for some reason, I had my annual physical land in December. And some people might think that's kind of a weird time to do it because it's the holiday season, and why would you want to do all these test results? But it just worked out for me that way. And I got my physical. Thank goodness everything came back great. They took 4 vials of blood from me. I was like, Lord, what are we testing for?
Yeah,
But
that
Yeah,
is a lot.
a
it
lot.
is.
I have this
Mine
thing.
is like I think the first week of January I do every year.
Okay, so yeah, whether it's end of year, first of the year,
Yeah.
when's yours,
Yeah.
Kodi?
I think I'm gonna try now that you mentioned it, I'm gonna try and schedule mine before I leave for Kansas. So if I don't get it done this month, I'll get it done next month for sure.
Well, one of the things I got tested, of course, along with the regular physical, was my STIs. And it had been a minute, and I had said that I was going to go a little more regularly to get my STIs checks. Fortunately, everything came out good, and I now do the oral and anal swab as well, because this boy
Oh,
was having a
nice.
lot of fun in Vakaya and here at the Eagle recently. And is it weird that I was kind of surprised that I didn't have anything come back? I don't know what
That
that
just means
says.
you had a
I've
great
definitely
time.
I've definitely been there before too.
Yeah, me too.
Right. And it's like I'm about to go back to the Bay Area where I may shoot a scene with the guy for my OnlyFans, a little more on that in a little bit. But also I'm
Hey.
going to be back in Puerto Vallarta, and I just thought, I need to get this anyway to get my prep renewed. So anyways, happy for that. Happy I got a good health seal of approval, and yay to that. Okay, well, we were talking about OnlyFans, and I've mentioned that I recently launched my OnlyFans, and it's Sexy Poppy Steve V. Well, last week I was putting up a video, and the video was me of doing naked yoga and some stretches that I like to do. Some are good for bottoming, and I thought it was maybe not on the tamer side of something that I'm going to put out there, or even that I've already put out there, but some of the wording I put out there got checked by OnlyFans. Like, in other words, I had some restricted words that weren't allowed. And I thought, what in the world could I be posting in this verbiage about doing some naked yoga on a Friday that is going to be called for restricted words? And let me read you some of the restricted words that OnlyFans doesn't allow. And you'll see where I'm going with this, because remember, I was doing naked yoga, but they
Hmm.
have words that you cannot use in your description, like abduct, abducted, abducting, things like asphyxiation. You can't put things like blackmail, bleeding. You see where I'm going, right? Some cannibal are words that you cannot use. Other words, choke, choking, comatose, consent, drunk.
How you doing all this in the yoga? That's what I want to
No,
know.
so these are words that I did not include, right?
Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
I'm saying these are words that you cannot use, and I'm trying to give you guys an example of fecal,
Yikes.
gang bangs you cannot use. Let me just say what you cannot use so you know where. Kidnap, more words, menstruate, molesting, the N word,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, pedophilia,
It-
prostitution, rape. Okay, the list goes on. I'll post this on Tags Podcast if you all want. But I was like, what in the world did I post in my description that, I mean, none of these words seem to be, on my list. And the closer I looked, the word that I had on there was so weird. It was okay. So the word that I figured out that I was using was on this list, and it was meat, and it's like MEET. And I think
Really?
so not like MEAT or anything like that, meat. And I think I thought I wrote, doing some naked yoga on a Friday afternoon to limber myself up for the weekend because you never know who you might meet. Okay, totally innocent, if you
Yeah.
will.
And
And
wasn't the spelling MEET?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are they just saying the context or like that's crazy?
Okay, here's what my thought process was. They want to discourage anybody from prostitution, solicitation, and the word meet,
Mm.
I'm sure from their lawyer team said that can sound like you're meeting up with somebody. Hey guys, anybody want to meet up with me tonight? Hit me up in the comments section and I'll meet. That would be solicitation, perhaps. and that would be. But it's so funny that, all these companies, they use these algorithms to look for words instead of really looking at the actual context of how you may have used it. I just feel
Yeah.
like some of these brands, YouTube, Instagram, should now be at a place where they couldn't they have somebody just review if and just see, oh no, they meant it like just ethereally, they might meet somebody, but not like meet me for you know prostitution. It's just so funny. I mean, yeah, I don't know, Cody, any thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, I was shadow banned on Instagram because I used the word Kansas. I was in Kansas
What?
and I hashtag. I know, right? I looked up on the internet what the banned words were for Instagram, and Kansas is on the list. I have no idea why. So
Really?
I had to delete that
But
post.
Dorothy's from Kansas. It's like it doesn't get any
There's
more, squeaky clean
innocent.
than Dorothy.
Right? So I have no idea why it's up there or what it could be, but I mean, they must have a reason for it if Kansas is on that list. And like you said, I'm sure meat, no matter not how innocuous it may sound in your context, especially, then they have their reasons for not wanting it up there.
Well,
So,
I bookmarked this page because I spent like an hour and a half wondering what I did wrong. And then I looked up words you cannot use. And of course, I found that, but it took me forever because I'm going through the words and I'm like, suffocation, the N word. Like, what am I saying? And then I saw that word. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to look for word, and it was just crazy. Staying on OnlyFans, we all know, and most of us love Austin Wolf. And he just did this thing in Puerto Vallarta when I was there, because he did a thing called Collab Week, where he essentially invited some of the top creators on OnlyFans. And Jet, who's one of our former recent guests on Tags Live and who I met and was talking about, actually helped put this together, where they took them to the naked beach. And the whole idea was to create a ton of content that they could almost have for the next several months on this naked beach. And there's a lot of videos surrounding it. Maybe you've all seen it, but it was a really great idea to create something for content creators. And he seems to be at the forefront of this. I'll tell you a little bit more about what he said, but he said, as somebody who's been in the industry a long time and the level of success that I've obtained, I feel like a responsibility. And I think it's a great way to bring everyone together. When one wins, we all win, is what he said. And he also talked about every single one of these boys comes to work. We want workers. Every one of us, black, white, Asian, brown, whatever you are, there is an opportunity for you. We have taken it back. We are going to do it our way. If you don't like it, don't watch, but you're going to watch. He assured us. And when talking about clapping back at people that are like, oh, what do you really do for work? He says, I treat everyone with respect. I would, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I would just hope that with everything going on in the world, I'm paraphrasing, of course, that you would just think that, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But we all are doing our thing and we're not hurting anybody. And so he plans to do this for years to come. And I mean, I hope someday I'm invited to Collab Week with my new OnlyFans.
ooh.
I mean, that would be fun. But anyways, yeah, who knows? What do you think, Jeremy, when you hear of Austin Wolf and what he's creating and his sort of unapologetic way of the work that he produces?
I think that's excellent and kudos to him. He's been doing it for a long time. And I mean, building your business is a thing in any sort of realm of employment and work. And that's what his line of work is. And it has been for a long time. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree. One of the things he also said in this interview that he did with out.com, Cody, was that, a lot of this work, it is like every other job. You do have to market yourself, you do have to put yourself out there. And what do you think about the way he has developed his career for so many years? Because he also says he got into it later in life and he's kept himself pretty preserved and he's going to try and keep doing it for as long as he can.
Oh yeah, he definitely still looks great, and I've seen it up close and personal, out and about, not in the bedroom or anything like that. There's no leaked sex tapes coming this way, unfortunately, not at least with Austin Wolf. But he is doing the damn thing. He's great. I'm glad that he is expanding and extending the olive branch to these younger people that are coming up in OnlyFans to help them build their brands as well. It's what you got to do. You got to reach back and help people, so that they can come up as well. So kudos to Austin, because he's great. And I have been on like a porn kind of
Binge?
a sabbatical. No,
Oh,
I'm on.
opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want to get back in touch with my own sexuality, but I've seen a lot of the social media things that are going on that he's been promoting for this, and I might have to tap back in to watch this one because it looks hot.
Yeah, according to Jet of Jet's Naked Tours, he told me a little insider information about it, and he said it was really a sexy, hot. I think they went out early not early in the morning, but they went around 10 a.m. and they didn't come back till 6 on this private beach, and they did all kinds of shooting throughout the entire collabs and group stuff. And he said it was really productive, fun. Everybody was in, really collaborative and helpful and giving each other tips and advice, and it just seemed like a positive thing to do in a beautiful setting. So yes, shout out to Jet, and of course Austin Wolf for keep doing it and giving me inspiration, so yay. Okay, well, a recent poll came out by Wallet Hub. I haven't heard of them before, but they released, I'm not really happy with them. I'm just going to start off with that, with their 2024 list of the most fun cities in America. And just to give you a little bit of the criteria that they used a lot of metrics. So size of city and proximity to things like entertainment, things like how much it costs per city, but really keep that in mind, proximity to, like, if it's restaurants, how far would it take you to get to, within a certain area. Those are some of the things, and they compared over 180 US cities, again based on 65 key metrics ranging from fitness centers per capita to movie costs to the average business hours of breweries. Well, New York City ranked number 10 on the list as one of the most
What?
fun cities. I was like, what? Uh-uh. With a score of 49.35, the Big Apple placed fifth in entertainment. Okay, thanks. And recreation, 10th in nightlife and parties. And
What?
I
and this one,
definitely don't agree with that one.
That's
thank you, and we'll go through
crazy.
the cities in a second. And lastly, 100. This one I think is true. 182nd in costs. So we
Oh
all know
yeah,
New York's
yeah.
super expensive, and but so are a lot of cities. Okay, coming in at number one as the most fun cities. Remember, based on those key metrics. So just keep that in the back of your head. Was Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a flashy tourist destination for a fun weekend, but it's also the most fun city overall, boasting a large number of attractions and a 4.5 star or higher in restaurants. Okay. Orlando, though, is number two. And I have to ask you, Jeremy, because aside from all the amusement parks, you did go to Orlando recently for a huge music fest. Besides that, did you like Orlando?
I would not go back unless it was for the music fest. So, I mean, I do not agree with this like any of these metrics. And Las Vegas, are you kidding?
Right?
I mean, I go to Las Vegas to see a show, but I would not go there. Like, first of all, the gay nightlife is, in my opinion, terrible,
Dismal.
especially compared to New York City. And I don't know, for me, it's just like Straitsville.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over the list a little bit more, but one of the things that struck me too after thinking about this a little bit more, because I've been sitting on this and talking with my sister about this list, is that it really didn't take into overall perception. And I know that's probably a harder metric to take in, but I do feel in fun has to often do with community. And if you're talking about LGBTQ plus community, our fun places are going to be a little bit different than, say, if Las Vegas is a lot of fun, but I've been in cabs before where I was kind of questioning the cab rider's, take on, he was asking me a little bit too many things, thought I was straight. Okay, I don't know why, but, and was pointing out the strip clubs along the way to my hotel. And I thought, did you not see my rainbow suitcase? I mean, it's not, but I mean, I don't know what.
You
Yeah.
didn't see the purse fell out of my mouth? I don't
Thank
understand what's
you.
going
It
on
was just there's a
here.
little sense. So Miami came in at number 3, which I would have agreed maybe before, but I also
Yeah.
think Miami's a little limited in compared to New York. Atlanta number 4. Then I want you to weigh in, Kodi. San Francisco number 5, and I'm from the Bay Area. Maybe before, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Not now to me. Number 6, New Orleans. 7, Austin, Texas. Heard good things, and I love Austin. Number 8, Chicago. I do love Chicago. Number 9, Honolulu. Just feel like there's not a lot to do there. And number 10, New York. And we could go down the list, but we don't have time. But Kodi, what's your list of this top 10 in New York being number 10?
That's crazy to me. I don't understand this list. I think that it's harder to qualify fun in this way. You can't do it by math. Oh, this is this far away, or this it has this many restaurants here. It's not an equation. Fun is not an equation. So I think they tried and they gave it a good effort, and I'm okay with it. But there are other things that you have to take into account. And also, like Jeremy was saying, this sounds like a very straight list. So maybe it is for the straights and it doesn't take into account what we go through as LGBTQ plus people. So just take it for
Right.
what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a generalist for everyone listening to this too. So, of course, it didn't take that into consideration. But, they did have things like Fort Lauderdale, and we all know Wilton Manor is a huge community for the LGBTQ plus world, and it took some factors in, but yeah, definitely not an LGBTQ list. I don't want to misrepresent that. And okay, well, we've got to move on to one of our favorite people of the year, at least one of my favorites, Troye Sivan. I just love his album. I love when he speaks. He actually, I didn't know this, but GQ voted him Man of the Year. And
Oh.
he said it's a very strange, he says, it's not lost on me the irony of me winning Man of the Year when I just did drag for the first time this year in the music video for One of Your Girls. I feel more in touch with my femininity than ever. And I think it speaks to a point I'd really like to make, which is that my relationship with masculinity has been very strange my entire life. I existed in this gray area between not being invited to sleepovers for girls' nights and not getting along with any of the boys. Unlearning and deprogramming of all that has taken so many years, and it's lots of people. I'm so lucky to have incredible women in my life. I pull so much from them and their strength, and power is something I'm in awe of. I also have incredible men in my life. And the biggest thing for me has been the queer people in my life that I've been along the way. These are people I look forward for self-love first and foremost, and for the love of each other and the love of community. And I love that they voted him Man of the Year. I think 10 years ago, maybe even less, we would have never seen somebody like a Troy being called Man of the Year. And I do think we're redefining what it means to be a man. I hope we are in many ways, that it's not all about the brawn and this. You can have your feminine sides to yourself. And to me, that makes you more of a man when you're willing to accept who you really are. And Co- Jeremy, when you heard this about Troye Sivan being Man of the Year and the irony that he feels, what do you think of that?
I understand why he finds irony in it, but I do think that it's great and it's progressive. And I think that anyone can be an example of Man of the Year and their own version of what that is. And I like that he is, I don't know, just pushing the boundaries and the envelope, and a new example for an example of a successful artist and man, and especially in our community.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, Cody, I do think it's important that we still have some of these mega magazines like GQ around and, many magazines like this that do sometimes these lists. They recently, I think it was Time Magazine, not my favorite, but called,
Don't-
um, what's her name? Person of the Year, Taylor Swift.
Oh, I don't know her. Who? No.
Was it Person of the Year?
I think Woman of the
Woman
Year.
of
I
the
think
Year?
that
I
I'm
think it was
pretty sure. No,
no,
it's Person. You're right. It's
Person
Person
or
of the Year.
Powerful Person of the Year?
She's Person of the Year, I think.
Not Powerful?
I don't think it's
But I think it has to do
powerful.
with Powerful. Yeah, Person of the Year. Right, it
Yeah.
wasn't just Woman. You know, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I do acknowledge and recognize the impact that she has had from the music community to the touring to voting for her people, getting out there and voting. So while I don't really love her, I see her impact and I said I think those are good. What do you think about Troye Sivan and GQ's Man of the Year?
Well, I'm so glad you didn't ask me about Taylor Swift. So,
I'm not.
yeah, I think it's amazing. I think GQ naming him Man of the Year is fantastic, and it shows how far we have come as a society. That this straight man's magazine can say that Troye Sivan is the Man of the Year, and he just was in drag. It just shows how progressive GQ is becoming because 20 years ago would have been Clint Eastwood or somebody like that. And also kudos to Troy for pointing out that femininity is part of who we are as a person. So it shows his evolution as well and how he is trying to progress society and have a good stamp on it. So kudos to all of them. It's great.
I love it. And I just wanted to read a little something that friend to the show, he won our Vakaya trip resort gin, friend to the show, after he came actually to our party here with his lovely boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he was leaving the party and he sent me a little text. And I just wanted to read a little bit related to this. He said, I love how unapologetically gay your apartment is. The gay art, the Madonna poster, everything about it is perfect. Your outfit was on point. I was drooling. Thank you. This might sound a bit strange, but you in a kilt made me open my eyes to maybe try to get out of my comfort zone. I always wanted to wear one, but that Latino machismo held me back. But seeing a gorgeous Mexican man in a kilt gave me the permission to get one and wear one. And he said, thank you so much for the inspiration. And I just think, thank you for saying that, Jen. And because, at this point now, this is my life. I'm a man. I think of myself this way, but you never know the impact you have. And I think the more we push ourselves and we acknowledge people like Troye Sivan for putting it out there, that it is cool that this is the newer iterations of men and they're
Yeah.
beautiful and they're more well-rounded than ever before. So yeah,
Definitely.
yes, absolutely. Okay. Let's move on and don't do this at home because if you take prep like I do, make sure that you don't do this. A joke was tweeted earlier recently when some people were a little like confused and somebody on Zackwell tweeted, just started prep. Are you supposed to be taking that big pill on the first day of the month? And it's like this little like stamp that they put on the top of the pill, and he was I think he was joking, but actually I don't think it's that little thing. You guys take prep, both of you?
Mm-hmm.
You do, yes. Okay, well, it's that plastic thing that goes inside the silicone
Oh.
inside the bottle that he was probably joking. He's like, I should take this, but actually a lot of health professionals chimed in after there saying, I've had a patient ask me where's her super pill. was I've had a patient ask me where her super pill was in her refill. She's been eating that for a year. And somebody else said the same thing too, like, where is that pill? And as someone who works in the pharmacy, this has been a legitimate question. Others also seem to have a little idea that the plastic widget serves as a function. It's like those other silicone beads or packets that you get in there, they're really supposed to be absorbing any moisture inside the
Mm.
bottle. And I've been guilty of throwing that silicone huge thing just out, like other people said too. But I think I'm just going to keep it in there and let it do its job. But can you believe? I mean, they said things like this is reportedly harmless if swallowed. It can actually, you could choke on this thing. Are you surprised, Jeremy, that people would think that you should take that silicone?
I really am, and I'm kind of shocked. I mean, there's a difference between whatever else is contained in the pill bottle versus the pills themselves.
Well, exactly. It just goes to show me too that I mean, I knew not to do that, but when I don't know something, I tend to read the directions. And all of my medication comes with this huge pamphlet, and you could actually read and see everything in there if you really wanted to. I just think most people are like throwing that away, opening it up. And what do you think, Cody? Were you surprised? I hope you're not taking that.
Only the first time. No, I've never taken that. It's wild to me that somebody would. It's like clearly plastic. I'm kind of dumbfounded. I shouldn't be surprised at what people could think because there's so many ways for people to think. So I'm not going to judge this person. I'm glad that they finally ended up talking to their doctor and that they got the proper way that they're supposed to be taking these pills. And yeah, that's it. Good for them. What else can I say?
Not a whole lot, but yeah, that was great. When in doubt, people read the directions, or hey, guess what? Call your doctor. Or,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, back to when I just got my recent physical, oftentimes my doctor on the spot, even though we haven't gotten the results, he can put in the prescription to update and get it. He didn't do that, and so now I'm on a thing called patient fusion, and I know a lot of people are on various versions of that where you can actually communicate with your doctor really quickly instead of calling the office. And I just said, hey, can you put in the new prescription for Truvada? And he did, and he didn't even respond. I got the note from my prescription that it was being filled. And so, yeah, always ask, and I think you'll be safe. Okay, let's talk a little bit of fashion. And when fashion, I'm talking about Tom Ford, who recently opened up about a lot of things about his life, including sex, about selling his company, as well as life after his late husband, who he lost earlier this year to husband and fashion journalist Richard Buckley. And so he's 62 years old, looking fabulous, and he's decided to continue just making films. He decided it's time. After 35 years, I had said everything I could say with fashion, and it's important to know when to get off the stage, he said. And he loved making those early films, the last two films he's made, but he would like to take the next 20 years and make more films. And when asked about sex, he actually divulged that when he was really young as a kid, he had no idea that he was attractive. Nobody told me that I was attractive in high school. When I hit puberty, all of a sudden, every girl fancied me. I was on the ski team. I had girlfriends. I had sex at a pretty early age. I drank a lot. I got high. I love his honesty. I think it's really cool. And when he's talking about sex, he says, I used to give models a talk right before the show. And this just reminds me of, we used to do this huge show in the California called Macy's Passport. And my sister and I filmed behind the scenes, and I was always a part of it. And model talk or model chat was what we called it. And it was like that convo that the director had with all the models before they went on stage to say, get your shit together, look fierce, but also some loving words as well. But basically, look fierce. And what he would tell his models is with the microphone, after I already had some drinks, when you walk down this runway, everyone in this room should want to fuck you. Everyone, he
Oh.
said. Now I didn't do that. He says, nowadays I couldn't do that speech. I mean, and he didn't do it for the last 5 years. He says, I can't say that to models anymore. Everyone should want to fuck you. But I used to always say that. And it was important, even in the way they looked, in the way they walked. And Jeremy, is somebody that's going to be, you just already pre recorded it for our upcoming show of a certain age. I believe it's episode 9, and it's so good, along with Ashley Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved our conversation of a certain age, our brand new Cody's in Mind, brand new podcast. We're
Yep.
talking all about fashion, and we talked a little bit about how fashion can change your mood. We didn't talk so much because it's more this show, but how do you feel fashion? Do you dress like if you're going out so that everyone wants to fuck you? Because I kind of do if I'm going to a certain place. And I already know Cody's response, but we'll get to him in a minute. But I want to hear from you. When you want to feel sexy, do you dress the part?
I feel like I dress for the occasion, so I think that sometimes I'm either the occasion or my mood. Sometimes I want to be like shimmery and sparkly and more gay than other times, and then sometimes I want to be more butch, and then I don't know, other times I'm like okay with being casual and just I don't know, just maybe looking sexier or appealing in that sense, but I don't really base it off of like ever being on the prowl. I base it off of like my mood and then also just where I plan to be in that day or night.
You know, I kind of have to agree with you because I kind of do the same thing. So, for example, I knew you were coming for 4 days or 3 or 4 days. I had an event prior to the day you got here. And I literally, when I know it's a scheduled week of fabulous events, I literally have a little party for one and I start laying out all the clothes and
Mm-hmm.
doing a little costume party of not costume, fashion party, because it's not costume, it's fashion. And I don't like costumes as much. I actually love fashion. And I chose like a certain look for your party. And I don't know that it was sexy as much as I felt strong and fabulous in it. It was
Yeah.
kilt and it was leather leggings and it was chunky boots and it was a fitted
Mm-hmm.
vest. And I dress for the part as well. Now, if I'm going somewhere sexy later, I can just take off my shirt and then, and enough said, we're done. Like that will, and if it's the kilt, I can take off the leggings and no underwear underneath. So you can always take off layers of clothing to be sexy. But I do agree that, you kind of, if I'm going to a certain event, I do want certain people to fuck me, but it's usually at after hours events. How do you weigh in on this, Cody? Or is it always a crop top?
Exactly. I always have to have some skin showing. I love both of your responses, but I am probably the complete opposite. I feel like every time I walk out the door, I want to feel sexy. I want for I guess in Tom Ford's words for people everyone should be wanting to fuck me. I think I'm actually going to make that one of my daily mantras right now when I wake up
Is
because
that
it
your New
is
Year's resolution?
it definitely is. It's fantastic. And I can't believe I never thought of it before. I think that's going to get me motivated to do the things that I need to do for my day because it's just it's fabulous. And yeah, I just wake up and it doesn't matter if I'm going to a well no, if I'm going to a kids party, I'm going to probably cover up a little bit more. But every other place, I'm dressing like I want everybody to fuck me, basically.
Love your honesty, and I think it's great. So, that's really cool. We want to hear what you think and how do you dress? Do you dress like everybody wants? You want everyone to fuck you? Let us know. Okay, well, this is a new segment for the rest of the year, and it's like a few weeks, but we're doing year in review where we look back at some of the earlier episodes and see what we were really talking about in those early episodes of 2023 and see how they actually stand up to today. What did we learn? Does it still stand up? Are we still shocked? And this first one isn't as much, but we're starting off today. We'll do one Cody on Tags Live starting Wednesday. But
Oh, I can't wait.
it
I'm
was
excited.
it was back in January, early January of 2023, and I know it seems like a million years ago, but it was not but a year ago, less than a year ago, and it was episode 427. It was our first episode of the new year, and the three of us were actually on that episode. And one of the things that we were talking about was I was talking about a date like New Year's resolutions, sexy New Year's resolutions. And I had just met a guy in late 2022 that I met on the naked beach. And I saw him on New Year's Eve, and we ended, and I was really excited to go on some dates with him in the new year. Okay, here's how it played out. I ended up going on 3 or 4 dates with him, and then it petered out because the sex wasn't happening. The dates were great. And if you'll remember those episodes where it sort of petered out. And later this year, I found out that he really wanted me to be the dom to his sub. I do feel it's a little late to go back in time, but we're still friendly on the gram. And who knows, maybe in 2024, I will be his dom to his sub. But the other thing that we were talking about in terms of goals and sex goals, as I like to call it, we played a game with a puzzle where you had to look at this puzzle and what the first words that you saw were supposed to dictate your year ahead. And Jeremy, what you saw in this puzzle were things like, well, you said actually you wanted to date more, you wanted to socialize more, and you wanted to have more fun. That's what you told us on the show. Have you dated more? Well, and the other thing you said, Jeremy, is you don't really believe in resolutions because you think that they're not realistic. Did any of those things
Hmm.
happen for you?
So I definitely did the last two, but I definitely did not date more. I think that I spent so much time meeting new people and making new friends and traveling. And so I think that that partakes in having more fun. And maybe we'll see that maybe the dating will come in this new year. I'm not sure.
I like that, but I like that you said you wanted to have more fun, and it seems like you did in your year in review. And so I think that's kind of cool. And hey,
Yeah.
maybe put that dating thing into next year. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Kodi, one of the things you said on that episode
I'm scared.
427 was you wanted to have, because we were talking about a Twitter poll that a lot of the gays were saying they wanted to have more gay sex in 2023. And you said, quote, although I'm in a relationship, I want to have more gay sex. So, how did that work out?
Oh my god. Well, I'm having more gay sex, but not in my relationship.
Well, you kind of said it in a weird way because I just re-listened to it, and you said, "Well, I'm in a relationship, but I would also like to have more gay sex." So you're kind of doing what you said then.
I know, right? Except we're not in the relationship, which is kind of, it's neither here nor there. I still stick to my resolutions, and I'm proud of myself for that. Thank you very much.
I love it. I love it. And then lastly, with this puzzle game we were playing, you had to see what it was, this abstract puzzle, if I can remember, and whatever words you saw were the things that were going to come into your life. And Jeremy said the words that he saw were connection, purpose, gratitude were the words that he saw. Mine were connection, miracles, and gratitude. Kodi, yours was purpose, family, and alignment. So
Oh,
just see how that resonates with you. I think it's always good to look
okay.
back on the year past. And yeah, but I'm kind of with Jeremy, like not so much New Year's resolutions but maybe some goals here and there. And it could be always kind of fun. So, um, okay, I think we can do this one quick one. We're trying quick. It's a recent Reddit thread that said they're thinking about hosting an orgy and they need advice and tips. I've never hosted an orgy, and the only orgy I've been was a bar that hosted it. I've never been to a private orgy, so I'm hoping people can give me advice and tips. And I figure this is what he said. I figure I would get some Costco rum, vodka, beer, What about tequila? And Costco food platters, and of course, music and porn, no drugs. And I considered an Airbnb, but that seems like overkill since I'm inviting a dozen guys. Okay, as a co-host of a current Airbnb, do not do it at an Airbnb. We do not need stains on the furniture. No, absolutely no.
On the walls, what do you mean if it's a good orgy?
No. As a co-host and the sister of somebody that owns property in a place, no, 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 no. So a hotel room is what I'm opting for, specifically one that has a kitchenette, a wet bar, and oversized bathroom that includes a guest suite. So all the fucking is happening in one room and all the casual non-sex will be in the main room. Well, he did this post before and he got some recommendations and people had a lot of really good things. And some of the things that people said were the people need to RSVP. You need to have your date and location on there. Things like expected attire, jock straps, harness, underwear when the guests arrive. You should also have other kinks in gear needs pre-approval. Guests can put their belongings in plastic bags that are provided and write their names on it with a Sharpie.
That's a
On the
good one.
invite list, encourage PrEP, STD testing, and inform that condoms will be provided and lube. I think you should bring your own, actually. Invitation specifies window period for entry starting at, say, 3 p.m., but door closes at 6. I like that one. And inform that there should be showers and bathrooms are available on use. One of those, you should have hand soap, plastic bags and Sharpie, leather scented candles and aromizer. That just seems weird. I mean, anyways, it goes on and on. I could go on and put some of this on Teg's podcast, but somebody also said things like no pics or video recording. I really like that. Zero
Yeah, that's good.
tolerance for drugs. I liked that. Maybe come prepared if you're going to bottom. That could be another thing. But after reading this whole list, it was like, oh my God, like, forget it. I would never want to do one of these now. And I did sort of my like a sexy Christmas party. I've talked about it on the show a million times, but it was called XXXmas. And I had sort of a dark back room that some fun stuff happened, like BDSM flogging. And at one point, I had a kitchen that was the red light district, and people had their dicks out, and it was fun. But I kind of like that flirty side to it. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on some of these things that he's asking, and what would be your recommendations?
I mean, I think that he needs to cut out some of these stipulations because it sounds like an all exclusive, really terrible event. And I think that it should be simplified. I do think that some of the things are necessities, like saying what you do and don't want in the environment, such as like extracurricular activities uh, and being clean and just having like the right supplies or just being showered or whatever. But I think some of them are a little bit too specific and make it like sound a little bit less fun.
Right. Yeah, I mean, somebody also wrote putting everyone on the group chat, and then it's like, are these your friends?
I know.
I wouldn't
Wait.
want to. It's supposed to be a party, and at that point, don't you just want to like, oh, 6 and 1? Let's just go to a sex club at the end of the
Yeah.
day where they already are prepared for all of this. I think
Right.
Or the bathhouse.
or the bathhouse. Cody, what else did you think of this party?
It just sounds like a lot of work. Jesus.
Like no more fun anymore, right?
Yeah, like when you get there, if you're hosting this party, then you have to think of all of these things that you have to incorporate to this sex party. I've actually been to hotel sex parties before, and I had an amazing time. I There was definitely no recording, or maybe it's before like cell phone cameras were like super popular, but I that's neither here nor there. But I think that all of these suggestions are wonderful, but they definitely need to inject more fun into this. And if it's all their friends, then simplify everything.
Here's my last recommendation that keep it to some of these big weekends like IML, International Mr. Leather, or what's the one in DC, Jeremy, that you used to go to all the time? Mid-Atlantic leather, right?
Mid-Atlantic, yep.
Yeah. And stay at the host hotel because the host hotel has already made the stipulations for all of this going on. In other words, there's nobody else. It's almost like our Vakaya trip at the Hilton, right, Kodi? Where
Right.
all guests
Mm-hmm.
are there for the same reason. You can walk in the lobby. There's lobby parties that are BDSM practically, and you can be in your jockstrap. It's a lot of these areas. And at night, hotel rooms, people bring their slings, and it's an easy way to have an orgy in room 406 as it is in 807, as it is in 21011. You can do all of this kind of stuff in a already inclusive, fun environment, and you don't have to worry about all these stipulations, and it's just that much more easy breezy. And save the
Yeah.
rest for the bathhouses and the sex club, because it's sounding more work than fun to me. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just my take. Or yeah, or know the people that just invite a small group, you know. Do you really want all these people at your place? I don't know. But that's just my take. There's so many spaces out there that are opening up. But anyways, this has been so much fun on the kickoff of the holidays. It's not even the kickoff, we're already in it, but it's been so much fun with you guys. You can always follow my co host. You can follow Jeremy and see all of the fun that he had for his birthday weekend here in New York City that I will continue at J. Ross Lopez, at J. Ross Lopez on the gram. Follow Kodi. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or his personal account, Mr. Maurice. Kodi and I are back live with Tags Live this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. So join us for that. Of a Certain Age drops this Wednesday in the morning. Of a Certain Age, Owaka, as we like to say, episode number 8 is dropping Wednesday morning. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Check out my new OnlyFans, Sexy Poppy Steve V. Sexy Poppy Steve V. New content coming this week. And in the meantime, guys, continue
Continue
having
having hot,
hot,
Hot
gay
gay
sex.
sex.